Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to that of Tuesday night coverage of the Full Send Racing Series here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart. Trevor, we are back to giving coverage for that of the Full Send Racing Series after an incredible run that we had at Martinsville last week. We now get to go super speedway racing, and I'm excited for it. These drivers, it's the last race of the regular season. This is it. Make or break. Who's making it to the playoffs?
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. 60 laps here tonight at Talladega. Cutoff race. Points battle could get a little interesting here if we see some carnage, Sam. But let's take a little look here at our starting lineup.
Yeah, we will touch on what the scenario looks like, but taking your pole award here this evening, it's going to be that of Travis Dart in that sixth machine. Andrew Medlin, who just had to start here tonight to move on to the playoffs, going to be in second place. That of Charles Hugel is going to be in third, with that of Chris Stitz, who's our first driver locked in based off of points, and that 22 machine in fourth. Will Bustler, he's on the hot seat. He'll be in fifth, with Ken Campbell going to be in sixth position. Philip Chavez, must-win scenario for that 101, going to be in seventh. That of Lucas Lyons going to be in eighth. John Dart, ninth, and Tim McNally finishing out our top 10.
Nick Holland will roll off 11th with Christopher Wade in 12th. Sam Siegel in another must-win situation is going to roll off 13th. Joshua Altus in 14th. Cole Sacchetti 15th. Ryan Lynch 16th. Aaron Hale, who's who's close on points there, is going to roll off 17th. Daniel Keith Jr. in 18th. Doug Pierce 19th, and Lyle Christensen will roll off 20th.
Then in 21st, it's going to be that of Rob Sherwood, who's locked in based off win. Same for that of Ross Tatum in 22nd position. And the 33 machine of Brian Burchett going to be the last driver here this evening. As our last two drivers did not put a qualifying time in, drivers are rolling off, but this is it, the final race of the regular season. We've had a great regular season so far of amazing finishes throughout this stint, but this is it to figure out 12 drivers that will be moving on and making it into the playoffs to race for a championship. We already know a handful of drivers that are locked in just based off their wins and amount of points that they came into with this race. That of Cole Sacchetti, Rob Sherwood, Ross Tatum, Cameron Sarn, Joshua Altus, and Chris Stitz all were locked in. The majority of those drivers with their wins. Chris Stitt based off of points. Andrew Medlin also has a win, but not enough starts. But based off of the amount of points that he had coming into this race, all he needed to do was just start today's race. He's in second position, and he'll be locked in. Same for that of Ken Campbell and many of others. But here is where things get a little bit tricky. You've got that of Ken Campbell, Nick Holland, that of Aaron Hale, as well as Christopher Wade and Will Bustler, all going to be in a stint where they're going to be battling to see who's going to be in that last position. So if a driver that's outside looking in gets a win, they can bump one of those drivers out. And those drivers that are in a must-win scenario, the 33 of Brian Burchett, Travis Dart, Ryan Lynch, Daniel Keith Jr., Sam Siegel, Philip Chavez, and Doug Pierce, all in a must-win scenario. The rest of the 12 drivers are locked in based off of points, but it's that win that could change everything here. And Trevor, that's always the dynamic that you've got to be kind of terrified about, especially coming here to Talladega.
Yeah, coming to Talladega where anything can happen at any given lap, and Travis Dart putting himself in the best situation to get that win, and you're in starting on the pole here tonight as the pace car is pulling off. But for these guys that are on that cutoff line, Will Bustler, Aaron Hale, and Wade, they're going to have to be careful of these guys like Travis Dart, Sam Siegel, Brian Burchett. They're going to have to watch out for those guys as this race goes on.
We're ready to give you the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for Tuesday night coverage of the Full Send Racing Series. Race number 15, the final race of the regular season. It's the War Eagle 160 presented by FR Graphics. Here we go. Super Speedway Racing, green flags in the air for 60 laps here tonight. They're roaring down into turn number 1, and it's going to be seen up front. Andrew Medlin, Travis Dart, can they hold on as they lead the pack into turn 2?
Yeah, coming into turn 2 right now, Stitz trying to give a shove there to the 12 of Andrew Medlin, the 30 car of Charles Hugel, trying to give that shove to the 6 of Travis Dart, not really getting at that bottom line, starting to fall back a little bit from that outside line as Stitz is giving a great shove to the 12 of Andrew Medlin, and the 15 of Ken Campbell trying to follow them through.
Giving a great push for themselves right now as these drivers going through that at turns 3 and 4 heading to the tri-oval. It's going to be that 12 and the 6 machine leading both of their lines. We're going to be seeing side-by-side racing, pack racing all the way through the night, through the tri-oval on the outside. Give it to the number 12. Andrew Medlin leads lap number 1 of that of our 60 here tonight. It could be a quick one here this evening, as the drivers are going to have at least one caution here tonight. It's going to be at our stage break. Lap 20 is that stage break. And Trevor, drivers all are aiming for that stage break, especially those that are in our top 12. Andrew Medlin, Ken Campbell, Nick Holland, Aaron Hill, Christopher Wade, and Will Bustler all need to get as many stage points as possible here.
Yeah, I think, especially Christopher Wade, Will Bustler, Aaron Hale, they're going to want to be inside that top 10, get those stage points to really solidify themselves in on points. That way, if something happens, they're looking at a must-win scenario for the guys outside of the points like Sam Siegel, Travis Dart, Brian Burchett, Philip Chavez, and those guys. So expect to see those guys not currently in the top 10 right now, but as we get closer to that lap 20 stage break, look to see them make some moves to solidify their points.
Drivers have been doing a lot of testing, trying to figure out the fuel runs. All drivers are good to make it to the stage. This is going to be just pure raw speed on who can get to that stage break, but factors to watch out for. There's no fast repairs for these drivers. If you wreck the car, you're in big trouble, as well as with the set of tires that they're running on currently to start this race off. They've got 3 extra sets in pit road to work with, which, Trevor, those 3 sets could be very useful, especially later on in this race.
They can be. Thankfully, Talladega tires not the biggest of things you really got to worry about. Is Dart and 30 there of Charles Hugh get a really good run out of turn number 4. They're going to clear the 12 for the time being, but Stitt's trying to give that shot back to Andrew Medlin to get him back up there. But tires, thankfully, at Talladega, not something you have to worry about. But later in the run, might be something that these drivers think about taking just to solidify the handling of these machines. They do fairly well on old tires, so you get about 40 or 50 laps on those on a set. So that last green flag pit stop, I expect to see everybody take 4 tires to really shore up the handling of these race cars.
And with this only being a 60-lap race, drivers could be thinking about a little bit of fuel strategy later on with the fuel run in the draft. Around that at 36 laps, it's going to put them right around that window of our stage break to the end of the race. If you're on extreme save mode, you might be able to make that stint work out and only have to pit that one time at the stage. So drivers going to be playing a lot of mind games on how they want to make this push, as we're all still staying side by side up front as these drivers are coming to the start of lap number 5 this evening. And you are watching the Full Send Racing Series here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Myself, Sam Dyer. You've also got that Trevor Earhart in Running Productions in the background. It's Robert Moyer Jr. And watch out on that 3rd lane. Here they come. It's going to be Joshua Altis trying to find some help on that 3rd and outer lane, which, hey, I got to say, why not use every lane? You're wide enough to go 3 wide. And Trevor, here we go.
It didn't take long for these guys to decide to make that 3rd lane work there with Altis up there. He's got the 11 of Ross Tatum giving him a shove. The 42 of Cole Sacchetti bringing up the back of that line, but jumping up in front of everybody is going to be the 25 machine of Lucas Lyons. He's going to jump up there in front of the 13 of John Dart, trying to get that outside line going. And they're making a little bit of progress here up to, looks like they're going to be side by side here with the 15 of Kane Campbell, who's running in 5th position. And that top line's got some momentum here, Sam, coming into turn number 1.
It is going to be 3 wide, 4 rows deep. And here we go, about to make it 5 rows deep, as it's going to be seeing all drivers all around, giving each other plenty of space. Stay in your lane. We are going 188, make that 190 miles per hour plus, feeling like we're at a highway as they're flying down the back stretch. Stay in your lane and hope you don't make contact, as it's 5 drivers deep, going 3 wide. You don't see this very often 6 laps into this race.
No, 6 laps in, really early for these guys to be 3 wide, but doing a great job, like you said, giving each other space, being aware of where everybody's at, but putting on a good show here early on, showing how much room there really is. The 30 in there, a few gets below the apron, but does a really good job keeping that together. It's that outside line now, tries to build some more momentum back after they lost a little bit of ground, but coming back strong on the outside line. They're going to be side by side, 3 wide for the lead.
3 wide for the lead as we're getting a little bit of perspective on how all these drivers trying to hold on for themselves. You also are seeing some college schemes on these drivers. It's college night as it's working to 160 drivers. We're given a little bit of leeway on, hey, it's college night, put on your favorite college theme on your vehicles. And that's what drivers are out here, about half the field all rocking with their favorite schemes, as the 11 going to be with that Virginia Tech, and plenty of others testing out their different colors here this evening.
Yeah, good looking paint schemes. Cool to see. Cool to see the different designs out there tonight. A little bit different from what we normally see from these guys. So it's always fun when leagues put on a special paint scheme type of night, and we get to see all the different schemes that show out for them. But right now, Medlin trying to hold off that middle lane right now, doing a really good job. Stitz being a really good pusher. Those two make it 3 with the 15 of King Hamill have been really consistent there in that middle line, but that top line, again, building a little bit of momentum. John Dart, the 25 of Lucas Lyons, and Dart might actually get Lyons. He has cleared Lucas Lyons out into the lead if Lyons wants to drop down, but looking like he's going to decide to stay up there with the 13 and the 94 of Altus.
As seems to be John Dart in that 13 trying to help Lucas Lyons on that third lane to stay up as far as they can. Way that 13's kind of shimmying around, though, it seems like he might be the driver that could be thinking about making the move down if he can get clear. But 3 wide action like this, Trevor, certainly the skill is being shown, the space, the patience. But how long can you stay like this? And how is drivers the mindset when you're 3 wide? How do you even approach being inside of this madness?
You know, some people might get a little nervous, decide to drop out and head to the back. All it takes is one little bump, one wrong bump in these cars. Off-centered could really affect the whole field, as we see the 13 just kind of all over the place there on that top line, gets it back together, but you can just see how much momentum it hurt the outside line, and that middle line is going to finally drop down. Medlin and Stitz decide to go all the way to the bottom in front of the 6 of Travis Dart. That kind of kills the middle line's momentum there as the 3 wide's starting to break up now, as I think guys starting to realize that, hey, we're not that comfortable with this right now. Everybody's starting to get a little bit too wiggly for our liking, and we're starting to see everybody break apart.
But seeing this little bit of dispersion is actually helping some of these drivers. And the one that's really loving this is the 11 in that Virginia Tech scheme. It's Ross Tatum. He's moved up 17 positions from where he started all the way back in 22nd position. Didn't qualify, didn't put a time in, but now he's cracking inside of the top 5.
Yeah, Tatum doing a really good job working through the draft, getting back up here, running that middle lane, getting a good shove here from the 94 and giving a good shove to the 88 of Timmy McNally. McNally's going to be side by side with Medlin for the lead here, but don't look too soon, because here comes the outside line again with John Dart and the 25 of Lions. Those two being really persistent on that outside line and making up a little bit of time, but I think they're going to lose a little bit of momentum here off the corner to our other 2 lines. But as I say that, again, holding that momentum on that outside line, and those two just hanging in there on that third line.
And right now, all 22 drivers up front sticking together. One driver has lost the draft, that being Ryan Lynch, who decided to fall back, lost the draft, and he is currently 15 seconds off of our leaders. But based off the pace that the 3 is going compared to our leaders, should be able to stay at least on the lead lap, because again, our stage break coming up here very quickly. We're halfway now. It is at the end of lap 20 when these drivers are going to be getting racy, and I think we're already starting to see that trend building back up. Drivers trying to get up instead of our top 10.
Ross Tatum jumped up to that outside line in front of the 25 of Lucas Lyons, kind of checked them up a little bit, and they're going to lose a little bit of time off the corner, but that outside line again is starting to form up, as now you've got 4 cars up there. The 48 of Sam Siegel starting to creep up into that outside line, so make that 4 cars there. We're going to be 3 wide, 4 rows back, make it 5 rows back here in a couple seconds when the 48 catches up to this outside line.
Riding on board with the 30 machine of Charles Hugel, and Hugel certainly is getting a great view of the 3 wide action, but at the same time as riding on board with this 30 machine, Trevor, something we haven't talked about that often, but usually when we come to super speedways, it's always the talking point: visibility for the 30 machine. Really can't see much in front of them.
Yeah, really can't see much at all. You can see a little bit when you go into the corner if something were to happen, but when you're riding around behind somebody, especially down the straightaways here, if something happens in front of you, usually your first indication is when the car in front of you brakes and they're in your windshield. So for these guys further on back, you'll see them kind of get out of line from the car in front of them down the straightaways, just to give them some visibility if something were to go wrong in front of them. But visibility is going to be one of those things that we're going to talk about, I think, a couple times tonight as this race continues, because it is definitely hard to see around the cars in front of you.
And also, that steering wheel seems very skewed off when he is going on the straightaways. Interesting to see how much he's working that wheel. Not a lot, keeping it steady, but when you hit the straightaways, it is not going completely straight. Still a little bit off center is this driver.
Yeah, so it's one of the things that one of the adjustments the drivers can make. They run a fixed setup, but one of the few adjustments you can make is your steering offset. How much wheel do you have to put into it? You know, or I'm sorry, not how much wheel you have to put into it, but how offset the wheel is going to be down the straightaway. As you can see here, the 30 has a really aggressive offset to the left, so not having to put a lot of wheel into it in the corner, but it's that off corner where you're going to have to see him kind of turn the wheel back to the right to keep that car straight. It's just one of the few options that these guys can have to make them comfortable before they get into the race.
We're seeing drivers getting aggressive on top of one another. It is time to start rolling forward. We are on lap 14. Again, end of lap 20 is when this stage break is going to come out. Only the top 10 get those stage points. And the drivers of note that really need to get every point possible. And it's one of our leaders right now, that of Andrew Medlin. He's going to be coming in that of 7th in points. We got 6 drivers that are automatically locked in, but these bottom 6 drivers need every point possible. Andrew Medlin, Ken Campbell, Nick Holland, Aaron Hale, Christopher Wade, and Will Bustler. All those drivers are battling to see who's going to be last, just in case, if you're last, you're going to be the driver that could get bumped out if one of our contenders that can win to get in find themselves in a victory lane at the end of this race.
Yeah, everybody looking real good right now. Bustler's up there in 10th. He's barely in on stage points. Aaron Hale's right there. You know, Andrew Medlin obviously leading currently, but you know, you just got to be, anything can happen here in these last, you know, 6 laps before the end of the stage. Somebody could get a massive run on you, shove you out of line, as we see that with the 4 right now is Altus in the 94 trying to get another big push, start that 3rd lineup again. He's got the 11 of Ross Tatum, and if this outside line gets to go, and that could really, you know, hurt the 4 of Aaron Hale getting these stage points.
Now, I'm curious on your thoughts on this, Trevor, as we're coming up to the final 5 laps of this stage. For that Ross Tatum, Altus, those 2 drivers, they're already locked into the playoffs. You know that they're going to be just racing to kind of be a stealer at the end of the day, or try to help one of their teammates if possible. But how aggressive do you think they really truly can be here coming to the end of this stage? Or do you just sit back and wait as a little bit of bumping action is going to happen up front, trying to hold on? Is that a Cole Sketty?
Yeah, got a little bit of a shove there from the 25 of Lucas Lyons, upset that 42, but they do a good job of holding on to it. I think a little bit of internet issues from the 22 of Stitz there is going to cause him to drop out of the line. Doesn't feel comfortable with his internet connection right now, so he's going to fall back. And I think also at the same time when he had that issue, John Dart didn't feel comfortable, so he bailed out. And just like that, 2 cars bail out of our top 10. And that's going to allow a couple other guys to really make some ground up here to get these stage points.
John Dart not really a factor, trying to get into the playoffs, just trying to go for the gold himself. Chris Stitz already locked into the playoffs. That's just going to hold him back. But again, luckily they've got the stage break, so their race is not over. And as well, they still have the draft. But up front, it's go time for some of these drivers. It is 4 laps to go in the rest of this stage. Top 10 drivers get those bonus points. And Trevor, with the way that we're seeing drivers go 3 wide, that means you've got to be inside of the front 3 packs, 3 rows that we're about to be seeing here grow.
Yeah, and aggressive moves starting to be made here. Lyons jumps up to the outside line in front of the 36 of Will Bustler, brings the 42 with him, but in doing so, that checks up that outside line, and that allows Altus there, the 88, as well, to clear them. And Aaron Hale just sitting there in the bottom line, 3rd car in that bottom line, just kind of riding around, hoping to collect these stage points as that outside line really just hurt itself there and has fallen back.
We saw one moment, it was that of Ross Tatum, who was our biggest mover, shifting inside of our top 5 while he drops outside of the top 10. Now, give it to the 94 is one of our biggest movers so far, and the 4 of Aaron Hale. They're pretty close to being equal on the biggest movers of the race, and we're starting to see a lot more shifting going on. 3 laps to go for these drivers to see who will get those stage points that can really change up who's going to be inside of our top 12. And if you're inside of the top 12, where are you going to be placed? It's all based on position at the end of the day, but those bonus points could be so helpful for yourself going into the end stages.
Hey, here comes another big run from the 25 of Lucas Lyons, looking to the outside of the 42 of Cole Sketty. Got no help, though, with him on that outside line. But as I say that, here comes the 11 of Ross Tatum. He's going to look to the outside of the 30 of Charles Hugel. He's going to come up there and try to give the 25 of Lucas Lyons a shove to get them to the front. But up at the front, the 88, Timmy McNally with a big shove from the 94 of Altus. gets him out and clear of the 12 of Andrew Medlin, but the 12 coming back with a good shove here from the 6 of Travis Dart down the back straightaway.
That middle lane looks so strong with Feth. You got Tim McNally. I mean, what a scheme to run if you're here at Talladega, the old Amp Energy drink Dylan Hart Jr. scheme for the 88 machine. That is a scheme to have, as Joshua Altus says, I'm going to go to the high line. I'm going to be trying to place myself in a position to potentially win this stage, as Andrew Medlin, that 12, holds the inner groove. We're heading into the tri-oval. We're coming to the white flag of stage 1 for these drivers. It's the 12 leading for now, as they're going to be almost 4 wide out here for a moment, as they're going to be 3 wide. Let's go. One more lap before the stage is done.
3 wide into turn number 1. Medlin, McNally side by side. A little bit of contact there between the 42 and the 94 into turn number 1. It's going to kind of check that in middle lineup, and who's loving this right now? The 4 of Aaron Hale, third car in that bottom line, trying to maximize his stage points, lock himself in on points. That outside line, third line, not as formed up as it needs to be to make a run here. They're losing some time down the back straightaway, and it looks like they're going to fall away here into turn number 3, but it's that battle for the lead. The 12, the 88, the 6, the 42, Medlin, McNally, Dart, Sacchetti. Who's going to have the momentum off of turn number 4?
All drivers that are going to need some stage points are going to be up front, battling for as hard as they can. Andrew Medlin on that inside lane, starting to lose any type of help that he could have. Now going to be dropping to the inside, finding some of that help, but it's going to be the 88 in that middle lane, coming across the line. Timmy McNally looking strong. The yellow flag comes out, but at the end result, crossing the line, it was the 88 who got that crossing the line for himself. But we wait for where they're going to be placing themselves, because honestly, it was so close, it's hard to tell when that yellow flag came out on where they were positioned.
Yeah, not quite sure where everybody was at there when they crossed the line. Good stage finish there. Hard pushing from everybody, but good job keeping it clean, getting to the stage break there. But do know for sure Aaron Hale was in the top 10 there. Will Bustler gets himself some stage points. So those two looking good to get themselves locked in on points, provided nothing crazy happens to them here at the end. Christopher Wade outside the top 10, not getting stage points for himself. This will be interesting to see where everybody else lines up once we get circled back around here under caution.
As the drivers getting in line, it looks to be that Tim McNally having that lead position. Andrew Medlin going to be second. Charles Hugel is going to be third with Cole Sacchetti fourth. Travis Dart's going to be fifth with that of Robert Sherwood's going to be in sixth. Aaron Hale seventh. Will Bustler eighth. Ninth goes to Sam Siegel. Lucas Lyons going to get 10th. As we are going to step aside when we come back, we got 40 plus more laps to go. Who's going to win the War Eagle 160? We'll find out in just a few moments. No, you're not going crazy. These drivers are going too wide, just 3 rows all the way through. But it's going to be the rest of the field, single file out. The reasoning why, a lot of the drivers, about that 3/4 of the field, topping off with fuel. The margin is right on the limit for these drivers to make it on fuel. I think they just have to save just 1 extra lap, and they're good to take it to the end. And we're excited to take you to the end as well here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, got Trevor Earhart as my co, and also Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. Trevor, strategy certainly out there now as we've got ourselves just that of 6 drivers deciding not to top off on fuel.
Yeah, and the fuel window is going to be tight. So here's the 2 questions for the night. Who's going to make it on fuel? When will the big one happen? Can't wait to find out as we're coming to 35 laps to go in this race. And Sam, it's going to be interesting. You got fuel strategy versus guys that didn't come in and topped off. You got the possibility of the big one. And already big moves being made. Lucas Lyons is going to take it 3 wide. Thought about it to go to the outside of the 22 of Stitz there with the 36 of Bustler giving him a shove. But that outside of that third lane is not going to form up as Bustler's going to leave the 25 out to dry.
That of Lyons, he is a part of that group that could save fuel. And it's interesting to see that 25 machine trying to go to the outside and be aggressive and be a leader. Now, we were told it's about that 36 laps in the draft trying to take it that far. Then you got to think about saving up a full lap of fuel, which is just slowing down your pace. Should be good to do so, but makes things a little bit more interesting for drivers up front. If you want to be aggressive, want to be the leader, it means you're going to have to use a little bit more fuel.
Yeah, the leaders don't have that draft help. They don't get the ability to save fuel. So Andrew Medlin in the 12, Stitz in the 22, those guys not getting to save a lot of fuel by being out front and leading. But as I say, that Stitz is going to drop down in front of Medlin, so this is going to allow Medlin to save a little bit of fuel. But outside line, the 3 there of Ryan Lynch trying to make a run. He's got the 94 of Altus behind him. And Altus, to me, Sam, looks like he's got no rear bumper on that 94 machine.
Yeah, there is no bumper there for that driver. I'm going back to see exactly what happened, but I believe there could have been an incident going on between that of the 42 and the 94, but I could be wrong on that judgment call. I'll give a better report here in a little bit, but a very odd, weird scenario to see for those drivers here, especially knowing that those drivers were just hoping to be a little bit of spoiler. They're locked in, is that 94.
Yeah, well, both him and the 42. Like you said, if the 42 is involved in that, out here trying to play spoiler, get some points. There's a 39, gets into the outside wall in turn number 2. The turn number 1, that was Doug Pierce, but does a good job holding on to that. But if you're the 94 of Altus, I mean, this just makes it a little bit harder for somebody to really give you a shove with that damage to really, upset the car when somebody gets right up behind it, gives you a push. So something the 94 and the drivers around him are going to have to be aware of here.
I went back and saw it was not contact between the 42 and the 94. It was the 53 and the 94. While coming into pit road, the 94 pulled into his box, but he did not phase through the 53's bumper. Major contact, front nose for that of Christopher Wade. You can see that damage there on screen. That front nose really crinkled in. That's going to be damage. It's going to hurt this 53, who is going to need a win if he wants to really find himself secured. He's got the points, but not in the best scenario of points-wise. He's got to be ahead of the 4 machine.
Yeah, for Christopher Wade, came in plus 40 for tonight, but didn't get stage points. Will Bustler did end up getting some stage points, and Bustler was only, that of 9 points behind Christopher Wade coming in. These drivers inside of our top 12, but based off the stage points that Bustler got and how many positions he were ahead, this could potentially put Christopher Wade in a position that if one of these guys like Travis Dart, Brian Burchett, Ryan Lynch, Sam Siegel, Philip Chavez, if they get a win, that could put the 53 in a position where he is the first car knocked out of our top 12.
Now he's got to find himself getting a few more positions up at the same time. That front bumper damage. Luckily, he's in the draft. Now, if he had lost the draft at this point, I'd say, that of Christopher Wade is in a lost cause scenario, but because this 53 is still a path to the draft, still got some opportunities to make some pass. It might be just a little bit more difficult than what we've seen from some of these other drivers as we're back to 3-wide racing, which is surprising to see as we're just halfway. We've only had 1 caution so far here tonight. If you're just joining us, we've had an incident happen under pit road between that of Joshua Altus and Christopher Wade, both making contact, major front end damage to the 53, major rear end damage to the 94, but the only caution so far has been that stage brake. Besides that, these drivers have been 3 wide for the majority of the night, which, Trevor, gotta say, coming to the halfway point, I'm surprised they're still this aggressive.
Just surprised they're this aggressive, especially with how close everybody was, going to be on fuel here. Everybody really going into that fuel save mode, and especially not our top 3. Everybody leading the lane, so the 22 of Stitz, Sherwood, the 36 of Bustler. These guys not saving any fuel. It's the guys behind them that are getting that benefit of the draft, being able to lift a little bit, save some fuel, that are going to be in better shape as this run progresses. But that top line making some momentum. Big block there from the 36 of Bustler, going to go all the way from the top to the bottom, leaving the 25 of Lynch out in that top line. But he's going to drop down now in front of the 2 of Sherwood.
Incredible racing we're seeing these drivers putting out for themselves, but the awareness level certainly is going to be something for themselves to watch out for. And if you're looking to have a little bit more assistance in that of your awareness level, well, iRacing iFlag has the best for you. If you go by yourself, that of an iFlag virtual flag system will give you the assistance of letting you know what the flag state is on track, as well can give you clear indications on where drivers are around you. Go to iRacingIFlag.com and use our promo code FreakyFast2022 to give yourself the discount code to purchase your items today. Other great items you can be purchasing that use here as a great sponsor for us is the admin box. The admin box is a plug, set, and go box that allows you as an admin or as race control to be the best at your job, as you can be able to give drivers a black flag, clear black flags, or throw out a yellow if their yellow flag for some reason doesn't come out. And all of that can be grabbed by going to the adminbox.com and using our promo code Freaky, that of FFB-BOXX. That is FFB-box with 2 X's. That is the admin box. And go get yours today, as the drivers are going to be still 2-3 wide all the way through, stuck in the middle. Going to be that of Ross Tatum in that Virginia Tech number 11 machine as well. Let's shake it up a little bit. Robbie Lyons is going to be now forcing it 3, almost 4 wide for a quick second there.
Lyons has been super aggressive with the moves he's been making, but making it work. And that 25 machine's gone from the top to the bottom to the middle, back to the top in front of the 2 of Sherwood. That 11 of Tatum giving a big shove to the 22 of Stitz, that middle line, making up some ground. And they got the 94 there of Altus right with him. That rear end damage not really hampering that 94 machine, as he's right there with this group.
I mean, if you're going to have any type of damage for a super speedway race, I would say rear end damage is probably the one you would want to take of any other contact, as the driver's still 3 wide. Here comes that 94, the 11 machine. These 2 drivers and also the 2 of Rob Sherwood, those 3 have all raced around one another in many different leagues. And here tonight might have to bring that experience together to see who can find themselves into victory lane, as it's going to be still 3 wide action. But Trevor, something we have not talked about, we're past halfway. It's the big one. It's not an if, it's a when. And really, with the way that some of these drivers are running, I won't be surprised if it happens very shortly.
I wouldn't be surprised at all with the aggression level we've seen from everybody. Is now the 13 of Travis Dart's going to go up top. No surprise, the 25 of Lyons right there with him. Lyons has been the spearhead of that 3rd line pretty much all night long. Giving a good shove there to the 13, but that's the question.
Got a report coming in. Nick Holland, issues for himself. The way the 68 just pulled off the track, I think he might be having monitor issues of some sort, as he is parked on that of the apron. Finally going to be starting to move. Heavy left side damage for the 98, who is just now getting moving, but he's down on the apron as they're getting frisky up front. But for a driver that is inside of our top 12 with a bad finish like he's looking to presume to have, this is a risky spot for a driver that could not afford this type of issue.
Yeah, not what Nick Holland needed there in the 68 machine to have some sort of technical issue. Is going to put him, behind the 8 ball here. Thankfully, not in necessarily the worst spot, because like you said, Sam, like we were touching on the big one, it's not a question of if, it's more of a question of when. With these moves getting more and more aggressive, these drivers not having that quick repair, one little bit of a wrong contact could really change the whole complexion of this race.
As there is that 68 machine. He is finally getting moving after having issues. He pulled down to the apron after coming at turn number 4. I thought he was going to make an emergency pit stop at pit road, but completely blew past the box. He was just in a spot where actually that 68 machine does have a black flag. He's going to have to come into pit road with that issue, which is terrible to have that snowball action. But that 68 now is going to find himself in a spot needing a non-playoff driver or a driver that's already locked in to that of our top 12 to find themselves in a victory lane. Otherwise, Nick Holland might not be making it to the playoffs.
Yeah, right now his best friend or somebody who's already locked into the playoffs, or a driver that's not locked in but not in a must-win scenario like a John Dart who's currently leading. This is what Holland wants to see. He's got John Dart, who, no matter what happens, Dart's not going to be in the playoffs. Stitt's already locked in. Bustler's in currently, just based off of points. Medlin's in. Altus is in. He's really got to worry about right now. The 3 of Ryan Lynch up there in 6th would be one of the first drivers outside of our top 12 that is in a must-win scenario. So that's one of the drivers that the 68 is going to have to keep his eye on.
These drivers still getting very aggressive up front. Going to be seeing the 11 Ross Tatum trying to make the move. He'll go up to the 3rd lane. No assistance for himself. Here comes that of Ryan Lynch, who lost the draft, but then got that stage break yellow. Now able to get a little bit aggressive. John Dart with that late block. Lyons going to be making contact with that of the 94. Somehow this field holds on, and we stay green.
Oh, that was a late block from the 13 of John Dart, and we just saw what happens when you make a late move like that. Everybody gets stacked up, contact made. And Lyons does a great job holding on to it. You just see how much momentum that cost him, especially the 3 there of Ryan Lynch, no help on that outside line. And the 13 of John Dart cost him a little bit as well, but he's got help now from the 94 and the 4.
As they're going to be staying in line for themselves up front. Starting to see a little bit of new contenders bubbling up front. Again, there were 6 drivers that decided not to come into pit road to top up on fuel, deciding to just pace for an extra lap. Those drivers up front, Chris Stitz in 22, one of those drivers, curious on how well he's going to be able to stay up front as bouncing to the high line. Robbie Lyons, no surprise, he's trying to make some moves. There's going to be Ryan Lynch trying to give a little bit of a tow if he could from the 25, but no one assisting. They're all going to have to fall in group with 2 wide action, and once again, Lyons not wanting to give up on trying that 3rd lane again as he's trying to get some draft help. Seeing that of the 42 of Cole Sacchetti, going to be off pace, already 1 lap down, about to be going 2 laps down is the 42 machine.
And thankfully for Sacchetti, locked in based on wins, so no harm, no foul for him as he goes getting ready to go another lap down. But Lyons still trying to find any way to get that outside line to work, trying to get a little bit of draft off the 42, but falls back in line behind the 4 of Aaron Hale. But if that 3rd line forms up again, not at all surprised to see that 25 car being the one that makes it work. And as I say that, going to again go to the outside by himself, no help in that 25 from Lyons. He'll have to fall right back in behind the 4 of Aaron Hale and just wait for another lap.
Just wait, be patient, and that is going to be the key for these drivers right now. Going to be trying 3 wide once again. It just seems like for that of Ryan Lynch, he's the only one who's trying to get the tow. And for that of Robbie Lyons, he's going to be finally sitting in line. Lucas Lyons, excuse me, going to be sitting in line for that 25 machine. Excited to see what he's going to try to work with. Does he settle in the 3rd lane, wait for more drivers to pile up, or do they just get aggressive and do we see that 3 machine just give a massive push? And here we go, going to be making that aggressive surge, trying to go forward. But Trevor, these drivers talking about the bump, very loose if you give a big bump to the driver in front of you.
And these aren't, the Xfinity cars aren't like the trucks or the next-gen cars. You can't bump as hard as you can in these as you can in the other 2 series. Like we saw, I mean, we saw how loose the 3 got, how loose the Lions got when they got into each other when John Dart threw that block. So you can bump draft, but you've got to be gentle with it. You can't just run up there and shove somebody. It'll really upset these machines and can cause the big one.
These drivers starting to make that surge forward. You're seeing drivers deeper in the field. Where could you think about placing yourself as see that of 30 just settling in the middle? We've seen Tim McNally make his surge up front, but a driver we really haven't talked about is the 52 of Lyle Christensen, using that Utah very shiny red and white machine. Curious on how that 52 machine is going to move forward, because we've seen a couple of drivers, that of Philip Chavez also still staying very patient. They have not tried to creep inside of our top 10 just yet. The question is, when will they try? As we're already seeing some 3 wide action up front. Lucas Lyons as well as that 3 machine slowly chipping away going forward.
Yeah, those two working really well together, making that outside line work. You just see the difference in drivers' philosophies. You know, you've got guys that are up here battling out inside our top 10 drivers, finally starting to make their way up through the field, trying to see what the car or how the car is going to react working its way through the field. And you got guys like you said, like Chavez running back there, Ross Tatum, Daniel Keith Jr., Christopher Wade running, you know, kind of at the back of this pack, just riding around waiting for possibly the big one to happen to preserve their car, as there is no fast repair tonight. So any damage that these drivers have is going to stick for them. So you'll see the difference in philosophies. Drivers up the front, drivers deciding to stay in the back and wait and see what happens.
Well, if you are waiting, though, when is go time? Because we're coming up very quickly here to just 15 laps to go, and it feels like it's been a blink of an eye. These drivers have only been out on track for 42 minutes since they started rolling off the grid, let alone having some green flag runs. It's only been about 40 minutes since we initially went green.
Yeah, I mean, if you're that far back in the pack, I mean, if you're Christopher Wade, Sam Siegel, Brian Burchett, you know, Chavez, Tatum, you know, they're only about a second and a half back from our leader. I mean, you're gonna have to start making your move, I think, fairly soon to cut through this traffic. But you know, I think they're banking on either some of these guys running out of fuel, or the big one happening so that they can just, you know, squeak through there and not tear anything up. But you're slowly running out of time with how quickly this race is going by.
And you don't want to run out of time as these laps continue to tick away. And also you don't want to run out of time of being the last person to get some best merch out there. It's already in our chat to go check out our merch here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We've got t-shirts, hoodies. It's the start of the time of the fall, meaning the weather starts to get cooler. And if you want a new hoodie, go make sure you got Freaky Fast Broadcasting as the logo, and you can be looking as swagged out as you possibly can. Different colors, sizes, they've got you covered. Go check out our merch store today, as drivers are getting a lot more frisky. We're getting closer to 15 laps to go. Still have not seen an on-track yellow be thrown yet. And just when this race is over, we're going to be seeing how the drivers are going to stack up points-wise on who's in, who's out, who's going on to the playoffs. And I got to say, Trevor, looking at the playoffs, it's a 5-race playoff system. That means we're going to have our 2 rounds, going to be 2 races each. And the racetracks, all look very traditional compared to the other leagues that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. The rest of the leagues we cover are in the playoff stints. Some of them are in their first round, some are in their last round. Thursday, Stars and Stripes, they're in their championship race this Thursday. It is that of the playoff season here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and I'm excited to see how these drivers attack these upcoming races. This first round, that of New Hampshire, Michigan, they're going to have a handful as we got 15 laps to go.
Yeah, 2 completely different style tracks. You have the flat mile track that is New Hampshire, and you go to the high banks, high speed of Michigan. So 2 completely different tracks, 2 completely different driving styles to open the playoffs here at Full Send. Can't wait to get to the playoffs next week. But right now, 15 laps to go. The intensity's ramping up. Here comes the 3 of Ryan Lynch trying to get that second line going. He's got the 30 of Charles Hugel right there behind him, trying to make a push up to the front.
But again, got to remember for Chris Stitz, he's one of those drivers that cannot take it to the, he's going to be right on the bar of trying to take it to the end. Same for that of Andrew Medlin on fuel. Same for Ryan Lynch in the 3. Those drivers deciding not to top off on fuel. That of Charles Hugel is going to be the other driver to watch out for. Cannot, you know, when you put yourself into a box that you are questionable on making it to the end, being this aggressive might not be the best scenario for yourself, but certainly seeing some drivers testing their limits as we're inching closer and closer to 10 laps to go.
Inching closer and closer, Ryan Lynch bails out of that top line along with the 30 of Charles Hugel. That brings 2 new contenders up in that second line. The 39 of Doug Pierce. I haven't talked about him really at all today. Christopher Wade in the 53. We mentioned his pit road woes when he got into the back of Altus in the 94. Starting to make his way back up right behind them. Lucas Lyons in the 25 machine right there. So that second line is starting to form up a little bit, working their way ever so closer to our leaders.
and wait for that charge that drivers deeper in the field are about to make, because we got some hungry drivers still attached to the tail end of this group. Drivers that are in must-win scenarios. We got the 33 of Brian, put that in Brian Burchett, Philip Chavez, Daniel Keith Jr. Those three drivers in a must-win scenario. And Trevor, they are lingering. The last three drivers attached to the draft. This make a push. We're expecting them to get the green light, start taking off here soon, but they might have to go sooner than later, especially in the fact that this field has been willing to go 3 wide, meaning you're going to have to stall out. You might have to force this field to go 4 wide if you want to go forward.
Yeah, if they wait much longer, they're going to have to make some aggressive moves to work their way to the front. And right now, those drivers in the front in must-win scenarios, Doug Pierce leading that second line, working his way up to the front, now side by side for third with Medlin in the 12. Travis Dart in the 6th. There's going to be that 5th car on the inside line behind the 15 of Kim Campbell. So, I mean, there's 2 drivers right there in must-win scenarios that are near the front, you know, that these guys in the back who are also in must-win scenarios are going to have to get by.
You have to figure out where to place yourself, as you know, see Lions stuck on the outer lane still. We're trying to figure out how to make that third lane work, and it seems like these drivers trying to make that side draft, the suction factor, try to slow down the drivers next to you. It seems like that is what I'm seeing a lot from the 25 currently.
Yeah, and that's a good way to get momentum for yourself, kill the momentum of the line inside of you, but something you've got to be careful of. You get too close to the car beside you, I mean, you can make a little bit of contact and really just then the cars can become really unpredictable there and can suck you around and cause a big incident. But we're seeing that the front 2 in that outside line, a little bit of side draft between the 39 and the 36 of Pierce and Bustler. That allows the 39 now to get the outside of our leader, the 22 of Stitz, and Pierce looking strong on that outside line with a big shove there from the 53 of Christopher Wade.
I mean, Doug Pierce coming into the night was one of those drivers that was the furthest back, the most unlikely driver to find himself get a win and get in. He was 26th in points, but because he showed up for the majority of the season, he was eligible for this win and you're in system. And this 39 leading that outside pack, and right now in 3rd place, needs a little bit more help. But honestly, I don't know if he could trust the help behind him. He's going to have that of seeing Joshua Altus, Robert Sherwood. Those are teammates from S&B Motorsports. I don't know if they're going to want to help that 39 machine, as Christopher Wade, a very strong super speedway driver that we've seen on Thursday nights. I think that might be the driver that you want to see leading a group if you're going to be going forward.
Yeah, but he's got to worry about how much damage that the front of the 53, how much of that damage is really hurting that car and its ability to push. But if I'm Doug Pierce right now, I'm happy with the 3 cars that are currently behind me, Christopher Wade, Altus there, and Sherwood. I mean, those are 3 really strong, really fast drivers that we've seen here on Tuesday nights that I'm not, you know, that he's got to be happy to see behind him. But like you said, with the 94 and the 2 being teammates, coming down to the last lap or so, he's got to worry about those 2 maybe sneaking out to make a move for themselves.
Man, you got to have your list. Who's on what team? Who can I trust? Who's my ally? Who's willing to try to get me into the playoffs? And if you're one of these drivers that's already in the playoffs, you might want to push Doug Pierce. Again, he has not been having a strong season for himself with 9 laps to go. Nothing against Doug, but you might want to try to push in the biggest underdog to give yourself what you might think an advantage heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, it might not hurt, but I mean, Christopher Wade came in 40 points to the good. Will Bustler was only 31 points to the good, but with the difference in stage points, you know, how is that going to affect those 2? Those 2 are at the bottom of our cut list. Then you got the 68 of Nick Holland, who was, you know, we thought was fairly good in points with his issues, running back there in 23rd. Where is that going to put him? So if Pierce gets this win, which one of those 3 drivers is that going to knock out of our top 12?
Or will we see someone else be the shocker? Could it be someone that's already inside of our top 12? If that happens, no change. Our 12 drivers that enter tonight will stay the 12 drivers that will race for a championship. Or we can see someone that's not eligible for the win in your end system, and they can be finding themselves into victory lane, such as that of Lyons, who continues to bobble and almost contact with that of Robert Sherwood. Holding on for now as Sam Siegel also going to be seeing that of Hugel, thinking about trying to make some big moves. The 30 machine, he was thinking about going to that 3rd lane, decides otherwise, but here comes some friends to that outer groove.
Here comes some help to help the 25 of Lions, who's been really aggressive with that side draft. He's got the 11 now, Ross Tatum right there behind him, the 48 of Siegel, trying to figure out what line he wants to go in. He's going to be in that outside line. So the outside line is starting to form up. Now got 2 cars, make it 3. As they're going to build a little bit of momentum. Which of these drivers in that middle line is going to decide to jump out in front of these 2 and take that advantage?
Right now, if you are that 39 machine, you're getting concerned because if Ross Tatum gets up there, the 11, looking to find his teammate in Christopher Wade. Wade could bump up. He knows he's got some strong competitors behind him, but like you said, that damage could be the hindrance on why he doesn't feel comfortable bumping up to that 3rd lane and being the lead driver.
He had the opportunity there down the backstretch, doesn't take it. That's going to put lines side by side with the 53 here into turn number 3. And if you're Doug Pearson, the 39, who do you go with? You stay in front of the 53 and the 94. You jump up to that 3rd line in front of Lucas Lyons, who has been strong in that 3rd line all night long. As now he's got help from Ross Tatum, but right now that momentum back to that middle groove here. But that outside line gets the momentum off of turn number 4. What's the 39 going to do? Is he going to stay here in front of the 53 or jump up there?
Well, here we go. 6 laps to go. Haven't seen an on-track yellow just yet for an incident that these drivers have brought out. But we're now going to be going 3 wide. It's time to put up or shut up on who's going to be making it to the playoffs. Starting to see a little bit more movement in the back, but it could be too late for some of those drivers. 15th on back as we're 3 wide up front. It's going to be 5 rows deep. And Trevor, that movement, that aggressiveness that we saw at the start of our race, it's starting to show a little bit more now.
Starting to show up now. Cars really moving about as they get these big pushes from the cars behind them. You saw right there the 25 Lions get a big show from the 11 of Ross Tatum, but however, not enough to keep them ahead of the 39 and the 53. As those 2 working well, got a big push down the back straightaway, allowed them to clear those 2, but that outside line just holding on, kind of hurting the middle lane, hurting their momentum here as that middle lane hasn't been able to get back up to the front 2 of Will Bustler and Chris Stitz.
Look back to the start of this season, it was that of William Edison who came away stealing at that of Daytona. But up front at the end of the race, it was this 22, Chris Stitz, who was up front. He was searching for the win to start the season off. The 22 has been here for practically almost every single race. He's had plenty of opportunities, and Trevor, he certainly's got a good driver behind him of Will Bustler, who has been staying steady behind this 22 machine. Could Stitz finally break that curse that he's had all season and find himself into victory lane?
He's in the driver's seat right now, leading the pack, controlling that bottom lane. As you saw Bustler kind of jump up a little bit there in 3 and 4. It kind of killed the middle line's momentum as they had to check up. Not sure what the 36 was going to do. It was Doug Pierce, but middle line starting to make a little bit of a charge and going to get a 4th car with some help from the 42 there of Cole Sacchetti, who's a couple laps down, but the 42 is going to act as a drafting partner as the 2 of Sherwood jumped up to that outside line behind the 11 of Ross Tatum. So now we got 4 cars in the outside line with Lyons, Tatum, Sherwood, and I believe the 30 of Hugel as well in that outside line. That outside line starting to make up some ground.
They're moving, they're grooving, and they're going to be finding themselves 3 wide for that a 2nd place for now. But it looked like they were finally getting that surge that they wanted. Lucas Lyons going to be staying stable right now in 8th place. They dropped back, was not the corner that they wanted out of that of turn 3. Now going to be settling in line, trying to find any type of momentum. That middle lane starting to disperse for a quick second. They're almost going 4 wide as that of Ross Tatum really not sure where to place himself. This is the mad dash to the end. 3 laps to go. Still 3 wide, but the outer lane is starting to fall back. They've got to resettle, set up, and that's going to be wasting some time. It might be a last lap dash if they want to make that 3rd lane work.
It could be Altus jumped up there in front of Lyons, and that really checked up that outside line. People kind of bailed on it, but a really good, draft help here from the Lions is going to bring that 94 as it gets a big shove, gets a little sideways into turn number 3, but they're making up some momentum, and here comes the 101, Philip Chavez. We were talking about him, Sam. He was riding around in the back. The 101 is now up here in the top 10, trying to make a move for himself as Stitz pulls off the racetrack.
Stitz can't make it on fuel. We talked about fuel going to be one of the issues to worry about. We're coming to 2 laps to go. Who can make it on fuel? Andrew Medlin, who finds himself being 2nd car in line on the inside. He's going to be questionable on fuel if he can make it to the end, as well as that of Travis Dart, who's going to be back behind the rest of the drivers.
Oh, contact!
No, they're going to be wrecking. Chavez going to be involved, and the yellow flag flies. We're going to overtime, and it's the big one striking here late.
There was 3 laps to go, and it was contact between Doug Pierce and Chavez going into turn number 1 that spins the 101 machine around. And that's the big one here tonight, Sam.
And the driver that lucked into that yellow, I got to say the 22 of Chris Stitz. But a lot of must-win drivers caught up in that one. As we take a instant replay look at this incident, you're going to see that of Doug Pierce as well as others sideways. Kinkin trying to hold on. The 39 goes back up into the field, and that's what's really going to be hurting that of Travis Dart and many of others. Again, must-win scenario for the majority of those drivers involved with that wreck, and that could be kind of the sealer for the drivers that were in a little bit of a concern on who could be making it to the end of this race. But now, Trevor, this puts a lot of drivers in a questionable spot with this first green, white checkered. Some of these drivers were just questionable to make it to the end of the race if we stay green. Now they're going to be having a couple of laps of pacing. Fuel, an extreme issue as the majority of the field does not come into pit road.
Yeah, so for these guys that were close on fuel, I mean, they're going to have to save a lot here just to get through this green, white checkered. I mean, if you were, a half a lap to the good, or, just going to be right there for the green flag finish, I mean, now you've got to run an extra 3 laps plus the pacing laps. So these guys are going to have to save hard here to see what they can do just to make it to the end of this first green, white checkered, let alone if we have 2 more attempts at it after that.
As drivers are getting settled in, it's going to be Joshua Altus up front, no rear bumper for himself. And it looks to be pit road opening up for drivers. It was getting questionable on who was going to stay out, who wasn't. And the way that Chris Stitz's real timing of the fact that he pulled into pit road might have been sensing the fact that a yellow flag was going to come on top of him, just not have enough fuel to make it. Comes into pit road. He will be our leader with everyone coming into pit road now.
And the timing for Stitz there, I mean, that worked out perfectly for him. Pulled off to make his pit stop there for fuel. The caution comes out. Now everybody's going to come in, top off on fuel, maybe take some tires, get some damage fixed for some of these guys. That just cycles Stitz out back to the lead. Didn't have to worry about being involved in that wreck. Got his service done, and here he is back up to the lead on our first attempt at a green, white checkered.
And now going to be the control vehicle on this restart, as this is overtime, or 1 attempt of 3 if needed. Now for this 1 attempt, if we go to green flag racing, it's going to be a 2-lap stint for these drivers. It is a green, white checkered. If we get a yellow flag on that first lap, we will then reset it and try for our second attempt. If that same scenario happens, we restart it. If caution comes out on that first lap, then we will go into our third stint. But if a wreck happens and we get to the white flag, the drivers will just be racing it out. It's all about who crosses the line first, which, Trevor, I know you've been involved with a lot of races like that on the white flag. It turns into a madhouse there at the end.
Yeah, when you're coming to that white flag on a green, white checkered, I mean, there is no holding back. Anything goes. And I mean, we've seen it. I've personally been involved in it several times and come out on the good and bad side of it. And we've seen it a lot here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting when it comes to super speedways. Anything can happen, especially on a green, white checkered. And Sam, I am excited to see how this race is going to end.
It is up front. Going to be seeing drivers setting themselves up on how they're going to attack this run, as everyone's going to be figuring out where to place themselves. But our first official DNF will be thrown out for the 88 of Tim McNally, who was at one point, started this race, one of our favorites to watch out for. He did a great job during our first stage to get up front, racing so aggressively with that of Joshua Altus, but now going to be finding himself being with required damage in pit road, and many of other drivers in pit road for extended time for themselves. That of Aaron Hale was in pit road for an extended time, as well as Sam Siegel, Ken Campbell, Charles Hugel, Rob Sherwood, John Dart, as well as Doug Pierce, and as well in pit road still going to be Lyle Christensen, who's getting repairs for that 52 machine. Again, a lot of the drivers that were in a must-win scenario caught up in that wreck, but still able to continue to run. That of Ryan Lynch is going to be up front. Inside of the top 10 with that 3 machines going to be Philip Chavez, as well as Daniel Keith Jr. Those 3 drivers still in a proper stint to try to go for a win, and you're in. Same for outside of the top 10. Going to be Brian Burchett in the 33. Got to watch out and see what that driver is going to bring for himself. Sam Siegel, yes, had to be into pit road for an extended time, but that 48 could be all the way back in the tail end of the field. We'll see how aggressive Sam Siegel can be to try to get himself up front and get a win here this evening.
It's going to be a really interesting restart with Altus on the front row. He's got rear end damage. Medlin's car is clean. Travis Dart there in third with a lot of damage to the 6 machine. Lucas Lyons, who's been fast all night, that car looks clean. The 3 of Ryan Lynch looks like he made it through that wreck, you know, fairly unscathed. We know the 53 of Wade has some nose damage. The 101 of Chavez has damage from that last wreck. Stitz right there, you know, he got lucked out, but lost some track position when he had to pit. And then you got behind him Daniel Keith Jr. in the must-win situation. Ross Tatum's there, Bruchette, who avoided the big one right there in another must-win situation. So we've got 4 drivers in must-win situations in our top 11 spots.
I'm curious for that Travis start, though. He's in that Boise State orange and blue, number 6 machine on that 4th position on this restart. How well can the 6 take off? He's in a pretty similar situation as Joshua Altus on the fact that he's got no rear bumper to work with. It's going to be difficult to get any bumps from other drivers, but that 6 must-win scenario, how aggressive is Travis Dart willing to be to try to put himself in a playoff position as we're getting ready to get rolling? Thank you again for joining us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on a Tuesday night for the Full Send Racing Series. This is the last race of the regular season. This is the War Eagle 160 presented by FR Graphics. Tonight was college night. We're seeing a lot of college rep schools out there on these vehicles, but for us here tonight, we've got that of a handful of drivers in a raceable condition trying to go for a win and you're in scenario. We got 12 other drivers that are pretty much locked in. It's that one spot that's in a questionable position, and we're ready to give it one attempt. We got 1 of 3. We're green for overtime attempt number 1, and it's going to be seen that Joshua Altus, Andrew Medlin taking off to start this first attempt.
Medlin there, really good restart by him. He's going to have help from the 25 of Lyons. Lyons not wasting any time trying to get to that outside line. Got to pinch the 3 down a little bit. But here comes Ryan Lynch in the 3, trying to give a big shove to Altus there in the 94. Get him clear of Medlin to see if the 3 can also get himself clear to try to work his way up. But Stitz now going to go up to that outside line and give help to the middle line. And Medlin going to block the 25 from trying to make it 3 wide as that outside line now has a ton of momentum.
You got to be careful on all the big moves. If we get to that white flag, this race will become official, and we will not use any more attempts. But up front, they're being very aggressive with some of these bumps that are happening. Chris Stitz is now going to be in the fray with that 22. He's going to be 3rd car in line on that middle lane, as they're going to be trying to make as much passion as they can on the inside. But it's Andrew Medlin holding, defending. Lucas Lyons has been Mr. Aggressive all night long. Somehow they survive. It's going to be your freaky fast white flag. It's on. It's official. Trevor, they're already slipping and sliding behind.
Slipping and sliding behind, 3 wide up front. The 22 of Stitz getting a big shove there from the 3 of Ryan Lynch. The outside line, he's got Wade and Tatum trying to make a move. Lyons gets loose. He gets tagged by the 94. They're wrecking. Medlin's all alone. Here comes Ryan Lynch in the 3 with help from the 53 of Christopher Wade. Medlin's got no help. The 23. Daniel Keith Jr. must win. They make more contact. Lynch is in the lead in the must-win situation with help from Christopher Wade.
Daniel Keith Jr. gets absolutely body slammed by Andrew Medlin. Medlin, after a couple of altercations with him later in the season, he's completely out of this one. Christopher Wade on the outside trying to defend. Here comes Aaron Hale on the outside. Ryan Lynch, the only driver that can win to get in. He's trying to go 3 wide. He's trying to find an opening. Christopher Wade on the inside somehow gets the win. Oh my goodness, Christopher Wade with nose damage, but still holds on to get the win.
Oh, what a finish that was. Wade sold the fake to the 3 of Ryan Lynch down the back straightaway when they had all the momentum, got to his outside, got a big help there from the 11 of Ross Tatum. Wade gets the win. Aaron Hale does a great job with a good run down through the trial. We're going to come home 2nd. Ross Tatum in 3rd, and Ryan Lynch half a straightaway away from winning and getting into the playoffs is going to come up just short in the 3 machine.
He tried his darndest to get up there, though. You got to give him great effort on that. But man, what a finish. And would it be anyone else? I mean, you look at the odds of the amount of super speedway wins that Christopher Wade has found himself getting. I mean, this 53 is just a stud when it comes to placing himself in the right position at the end of these races, and it was the perfect timing for himself, and certainly had the right driver behind him, that of Ross Tatum having his teammate. and this 53 gets to have fun burning it down, as we're going to have some highs, we're going to have some setups and thoughts heading into the playoffs, as we are going to be talking to some of our playoff contenders, as they were all in our top 3. We get to have fun talking to them, as we're going to step away. We get to talk to the 11 Ross Tatum, Aaron Hale, as well as your winner here tonight for the War Eagle 160 presented by FR Graphics. It's Christopher Wade in the 53. We'll be back for the post-race show in just a few moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the Full Send Racing Series. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Trevor Earhart, as well as Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. We got our top 3, so let's start things off with third-place finisher Ross Tatum. Get his thoughts on how tonight's race went. Ross, congratulations on third place. Congratulations on pushing your teammate to the win. Man, how are you feeling after that one? Because there are a lot of question marks on who was going to be in or out, just in case one of these must-win drivers found themselves into victory lane, and that 3 machine was one of them.
Yeah, man, I feel good. Especially feel good for Will and Chris, both both making the playoffs. So I was glad I could push Chris to the win right there. Will had a late penalty, so he wasn't able to compete right there at the end. But great job by both of those guys getting in the playoffs. Everyone tonight had a chance, man. It's just Talladega, so it was a fun race. I was aggressive tonight, so that was fun.
Yeah, Ross, I mean, we saw you up front, fall to the back, come back to the front. I mean, on that last lap, I know you're pushing Chris there, but I mean, was there any thought to making a move there coming to the line, or was it just push him to the win, get him secured into the playoffs?
Man, I would have loved to make a pass or at least try to make a pass, but I had a little bit of damage in that last wreck. Plus, Chris has pushed me to wins before, so I had to return the favor. He's a great teammate, so I probably wouldn't make that move, especially because he needed to get in the playoffs and also helps him for playoff points and stuff. So teammates come first, especially at a track like Talladega.
We threw it out there. Playoffs. That is what's next on the board. We got 2 races for this round of 12, New Hampshire as well as Michigan. How you feeling about heading into the playoffs?
I feel pretty good. I really love New Hampshire. It's probably one of my best tracks on iRacing, so I feel like I should, as long as nothing goes wrong, I should have a solid run there. Michigan, it's kind of a drafty track too, so I can get bunched up there. A lot can happen, but I feel pretty good about this first round. I really feel good about all 5 playoff races. This is a good setup for me, so hopefully I can just not make mistakes, point race my way to the Final Four, but we'll see.
Well, Ross, congratulations on a 3rd place finish, as well as making it in the playoffs. And the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
Appreciate it, guys. Got to thank Coca-Cola for always paying my bills. Uh, and then I got to thank my teammates at Team America, Chris Wade and Will Bustler. All 3 of us in the playoffs, so that's a great thing. So we'll see what we can do. Got to thank you guys at Freaky Fast. You guys are the best. I probably won't even run a league unless you guys are broadcasting at this point because y'all are so good. So everyone, reach out to these guys and get them to sponsor or get them to broadcast your races. And I got to thank everybody in the league. Travis does a great job putting this league on, and he's bundled up a lot of sponsors. I got to thank FR Graphics for sponsoring this race, and just everyone in the league, everyone watching. Can't wait to start the playoffs next week.
Certainly should be exciting, and we can't wait for it. Ross, congratulations again on 3rd place in making the playoffs, and good luck heading into New Hampshire next week.
Thanks, guys.
As we go from 3rd place, we had to 2nd place for a driver that was hunting, hounding, and just trying to stay afloat. We've got that of the 4 machine of Aaron Hale with us. Aaron, yes, certainly we're in a precarious spot in multiple different positions throughout this race. Coming away with the 2nd place finish at the end of the day. How are you feeling after that and knowing that you're going to be racing in the playoffs?
Yeah, man, I'm feeling great. The goal tonight was just to get as many points as possible, collect some stage points if we could, and then just stay out of trouble until the end to get a decent finish. We knew we'd be good on points, but if there was a winner, I didn't know how it would shake out there. But yeah, just stay clean and got in that wreck there that set up the last restart. Got the damage repaired, and then was almost in the one into turn between turn 1 and 2, and then got lucky with the run on the backstretch. Was able to get past some guys, and then at the end there, I don't know what else I could have really done besides of wrecking them. I didn't want to do that. They were just committed to each other on the bottom, and I was able to get Ross, so I'm happy with the 2nd tonight.
Aaron, it's been a up and down season for you. I mean, you've shown speed and had some bad luck, but it's got to feel really good building some momentum, finishing 2nd here, heading into the playoffs. New Hampshire's first. I mean, what are your thoughts going into next week, going into New Hampshire?
Absolutely, I'm excited for it. We had some bad runs. It's a shame that my teammates couldn't also make it in the playoffs. Brian there was setting up. We were hoping to work something out there in the last lap to maybe get him a good push to the front. But yeah, I'm excited for the races coming up here. Like you said, had some bad luck, and hopefully this will propel us to some good finishes, get through the first round, and then see where we're at after that.
I mean, touching on this first round, with it being New Hampshire and Michigan, is there a track that you're feeling a lot more comfortable heading into, or are you just taking both the way that they are?
I think you just kind of take both the way they are. I don't know. New Hampshire is one that I kind of look forward to. It's a fun track. Track position is really important. And then Michigan, I think we can do good things there. So just try to get a solid finish in both. If we can finish inside the top 5, I mean, that's going to do it for us. So see if we can do that. and then just like stay out of trouble. That's been the thing early on in the season. I got in trouble a few times, and just keep it clean, and we should be good to advance to the next round. But there's a lot of stiff competition here, so it's going to be fun to watch.
And we're excited to see that action. Aaron, congratulations again on the second place finish and making it to the playoffs. And now the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to everyone at Average Joe Racing. Fun guys to race with every week. And also shout out to my wife and 2 sons.
That is going to be the 4 machine of Aaron Hale. Congratulations on second place and good luck heading to the playoffs at New Hampshire.
Thanks, fellas.
Let's go from second place. We had ourselves the victory lane to a driver that, when it comes to super speedway racing, it seems like he's always a threat to watch out for. We've got Christopher Wade in the 53 with us. Christopher, congratulations on the win. You do it again, getting a win at a super speedway. We've seen you do that before on Thursday nights here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But man, how does it feel winning the last race of the regular season and punching your ticket into the playoffs?
Man, it feels amazing, and hopefully I can keep on doing that so I can keep advancing through the rounds of the playoffs, because usually I'm not really a fan of those. So I kind of wanted the playoff race to be at Martinsville so I could, do what Ross Chastain did and use the wall to get around and advance it. So I'm excited to go back to a short track now. It should be legal to do that now since they do it in real life.
Hey, Chris, I mean, walk us through your mindset tonight. You came in, inside the top 12, you're needing a good points run to solidify yourself, and then you get a little bit of contact there with Altus down pit road. I mean, what was your mindset after that pit road contact?
It was I didn't expect him to stop like that. I was like, it was just, I felt like I don't know whose fault it was, so I didn't really key up or anything. I was just looking for my sign, and then I guess he missed his pit box. It's kind of like Kyle Larson in real life or whatever. So I didn't know whose fault it was, but I was like, well, I mean, I had 24 seconds of damage from that, and I didn't bother fixing it. And I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm too lazy to fix it. But I ended up going back around and pitting again under that same caution. I was like, well, I'm gonna fill up again because we're gonna be close on fuel. If you stay in the draft, you can save. It was gonna be close, and so I pitted again, fixed it, and then we was all lined up on that inside, and it took a while to get going. And once we caught back up to the pack, it felt fine, and everything was good. And then I managed to save like a lap or two to fuel to go all the way to the end. I was kind of excited to see how it played out, and then that caution did come out, and I was like, well, I don't know if I can pace these laps. So I did end up pitting, and that was the winning race, I guess. It was the pitting, and done that, and then they was just all crashing out on the last lap. And once that outside opened up, coming turn 4, I was excited because I had my teammate Ross. I like to give a shout out to him. He definitely helped me. He got lined up with me and helped me win that race.
I mean, speaking of going to that outside lane, you had Ryan Lynch in front of you, and then he pulled down low. Were you kind of surprised by that move by the 3, or were you kind of expecting him to make that type of a move?
It could go both ways. I was kind of expecting him to, because it is the shortest way. I was kind of expecting him to do that. Either way, I was going to go opposite from him, or at least try to. It was probably going to get ugly if he did stay up high and I went to the low, because he was definitely going to make that move to block it. But yeah, so it was just one or two ways that could have went, and I was happy to see him choose the bottom because, like I said, I had Ross behind me. I knew he was going to go with me, and unfortunately, I didn't see that. I didn't see Aaron have that huge run. I'd like to pull Ross back to me. I was trying to pull him back to me so he can at least finish second, but he did get third, so that's good.
Still a good finish, and also with this win, getting yourself some playoff points. So congratulations on that, and on the win, and making the playoffs. A lot of congratulations to you, Christopher, and I'd imagine you two have some congratulations as well to be offering out. So the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my mom and dad, you guys for putting on awesome broadcast as always, and it's excited watching you guys and narrate all this and that good stuff. And going to AC2 Skins, he's the man for the rap, and all the league owners, the Dart guys, all of them who helps out on all the sponsorship, and Chelsea, my girlfriend, for watching this race, and of course all my teammates. Will, he ended up, I think he sped on pit road, so unfortunately he had to go to the back. He was up front too, and I was hoping he was going to get a win as well. But and then Ross, of course, my other teammate, for helping me seal the deal on that last lap.
Well, that is going to be your winner here tonight, the 53 of Christopher Wade. Congratulations on the win. Congratulations on making the playoffs, and good luck next week at New Hampshire.
Thank you, guys.
As we go from victory lane, let's take a look at where the drivers finished up here this evening, as everyone was really finding to cycle their way through. Some late contact carnage came around, but it was the 53 that found himself in a victory lane, with Aaron Hale in second. Ross Tatum going to be in third, with that of Ryan Lynch. They had one driver up front that was trying to steal the show to try to bank himself in the playoffs. Not going to be able to happen there. That of Andrew Medlin going to be fifth. John Dart sixth. Seventh goes to that of Rob Sherwood, as well as that of Travis Dart going to be in ninth, and that of Charles Hugel finishing out your top 10. But we look at the rest of the field. Trevor, impressive to see only one official on-track yellow, 2 in total coming out for this 64-lap race. But I mean, still a spectacular run here this evening.
It was a great run. I mean, it was aggressive from what was it, lap 5 or 6? We were 3 wide from pretty much that point on to the end of the race. So, only having that one on-track incident was impressive from these guys. But, just a heartbreak for some of these guys, further down the field. Timmy McNally, our stage winner, gets caught up in the big wreck. Lucas Lyons, who had speed all night long, using that was the spearhead of that outside line, gets caught up in the wreck down the back straightaway after contact with Joshua Altus in the 94. And then Chavez had speed, was working his way up through the field there at the end of the race in a must-win situation. When he got caught up, same thing with Doug Pierce. Those two made contact, which started the big one, so they had speed and just get caught up in heartbreak. And then, you got to give a huge shout out to Ryan Lynch. Comes home fourth, had a shot there at the end. Just, it's so hard to make the right choice and the right move. And for Ryan, just the wrong move for himself, comes up just short in the 3 machine, but a good run for him here tonight.
It really was, but missing out on the playoffs. And with this race being done, the stage is set. We have our 12 drivers that are racing for a championship this season. We've got that of Rob Sherwood, who's on a hot streak coming into the late stages of this regular season. He'll be moving on, as well as Ross Tatum will be our second driver in the playoffs. Third, going to be Cameron Sarr and Joshua Altus, going to be fourth. Fifth, going to be Chris Stitt. Sixth is going to be Andrew Medlin. Ken Campbell takes seventh. Eighth is going to be Nick Holland. Ninth's going to be Aaron Hale, as well as 10th, Christopher Wade, who wins here tonight. Will Bustler sneaks his way in, being the 11th driver, but all those drivers did not win the regular season championship. That goes to Cole Sacchetti after having a spectacular season for himself. But those are your 12 drivers now. The regular season's over. We have our regular season champion, but Trevor, it is now time for the playoffs. The rest of the leagues that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, they're already in playoff full swing. But finally, the Full Send Racing Series gets their taste next week at New Hampshire. What are you expecting to see at that course next week?
I expect to see the aggression level. I mean, these guys are going to be aggressive going into the playoffs, especially our top 12. I mean, it's going to be a battle for every point possible. Only 5 races to the championship race, 2 races until the cutoff. And I mean, we've seen it in all the other leagues that we cover here. Once we get to the playoffs, it seems like the aggression level, we thought guys were already aggressive, and it just goes to a whole nother level. Sam, I can't wait to get to New Hampshire next week and see what the drivers put on for us. But I am excited for the playoffs.
I mean, next week feels like a forever time, but if you cannot wait to see just great racing action throughout the week, don't you worry. We've got you covered, as tomorrow night, Wednesday, it's the Wicked Racing League. They're going to be having themselves the start of their second round. They just trimmed it down. It is coming to the end of their stages. They're heading to Phoenix tomorrow night. Then Thursday night, our first championship race of the full season. It is going to be the Stars and Stripes Cup Series. Michigan is their destination for their championship race. They got 4 drivers hunting to take the gold for season 5. Can't wait for that coverage. Then we have Friday off. Saturday, it's the cutoff race. Who's making the final 4 for that of the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series? Cannot wait for that race. It's going to be at Dover. Then we're going to be off on Sunday, back to playoff racing for a new round for the ISRC Truck Series. Then we're right back here, the start of the playoffs. Cannot wait to give you the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, the Full Send Racing Series. It's New Hampshire, our next destination. Cannot wait for it. Thank you so much to everyone that has sticked with us, though, throughout tonight's race. You've been watching that of the Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer, Trevor Earhart, and everyone else that helps us out here. And for Robert Moyer, our producer here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. It's playoff racing time.